Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of the Collider Games podcast. My name's Dennis Den. I'm in studio with
Tony Revis. I'm back, babies.
Yes, we're also in studio with this empty chair over here that's supposed to be Dorian. Nice. Maybe he'll show up sometime during this podcast.
Maybe he's just standing so still we can't see him.
Yeah, he's the Drax of Collider.
Dorian?
So, yeah.
No.
So
he's not
there. But we do have, by the magic of Skype, Caboose. How you doing, Caboose?
Doing good. Glad to be back and talking some more games.
Yes.
I feel like you should have like a signature choo-choo every time you get announced or something. Is that in your branding or something? I don't know.
Well, okay. So a lot of people mistake why I call myself Caboose. They're like, what, you name yourself after a butt or a train? Like, what's the deal there? So if you've played Halo and you know this web series from Rooster Teeth called Red versus Blue,
there we go.
There was a guy named Caboose, and that's where it comes from. And actually, I met Bernie Burns.
Like, oh, did you? Nice.
One of the heads at Rooster Teeth, and I told him, I was like, hey, this is why I call myself Caboose. And he brought me on camera, interviewed me, and he's like, yeah, now you're liable when we can sue you. And I was like, great.
No, I meant a butt. I promise.
Yeah, exactly. It was a train. It was a train the whole time.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh boy.
A bunch of stuff going on in the games world. Nothing like huge, but I don't know. There's some big news that aren't big news yet.
Yeah.
That can turn into big news later on. So let's start off with Netflix. They are going to have host a panel at E3 that is talking about turning their shows into games. And now, a lot of people have been talking about, Bandersnatch, that Black Mirror episode, which was like a Black Mirror movie, I guess, interactive movie. Yep. I watched it. I enjoyed it. I don't think it quite got to the point where, you know what I mean? Just maybe because we've been playing video games so long. It takes even like something like Telltale and like further reduces it down, reduces it in terms of the interactivity. Because, Telltale already is like, you're choosing what you're going to say, but there is some sort of movement and whatnot in that space. And a lot of choices. And this one, but it seems like they are interested. I mean, they have The Strangers 3, the game. They actually Telltale was making a game. I actually watched, interesting if you guys know that YouTube channel No Clip. They do video game documentary. Yeah.
Yes.
They did a 60-minute documentary about Telltale. And how
it's kind of terrifying watching that thing.
Yeah.
It was like a natural disaster watching them explain how everything went down at Telltale, but it was so intriguing to see kind of the way that it all crumbled. And it's unfortunate that we didn't end up getting that Stranger Things game, because that looked to be the most technologically advanced Telltale game that they were going to be putting out, like in terms of the graphics fidelity and overall gameplay. So
who knows? Maybe that game could have saved the company.
Right.
It breaks my heart to think about.
Especially if they planned it right around the release of like season 3 of the show, so they kind of could have gotten that cross promotion out of it. Oh man, what could have been? What could have been?
Exactly. So if you guys get a chance, it's free on Netflix, or not Netflix, on YouTube. Just check it out. No Clip. They do a lot of video game documentaries. I'm actually trying to watch the Half-Life one. Half-Life one's like 2 hours long. Yeah. So I'm only like 30 minutes into it. But it's fascinating to see like all the alpha builds and all the different things, And back in the day, they would like send those builds to journalists. Imagine that today. Imagine if like, I don't know, like Rockstar called you up and was like, Caboose, we're going to send you version 0.68543 build of Red Dead Redemption 3. You'd be like, yeah, exactly.
That would be insane.
What a world.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
In this landscape too, things would be so hard to keep under wraps. Leaks happen all the time regardless, so I can only imagine if it probably still does happen to some capacity in the game industry. There's plenty of devs out there who have like a dev kit for the next PlayStation or the next Xbox and all that stuff. So,
but what do you guys think?
Interesting.
Tony? What do you think about this idea of turning Netflix properties into games?
Oh man, it's so weird. It's so, because if it's about they did this Bear Grylls thing, so that's like another version.
Did you play? Did you watch / play it?
I haven't done that.
No, I haven't done that one either.
And if that's what we're going for, like, okay, great. But we have the Stranger Things 3 game coming out and that kind of thing. But like
that little 8-bit one,
yeah,
right?
it's like an
8-bit game. I don't know. Like, I'm more interested if it was the other way around, if they were like dedicating more of their Netflix shows from video games, like if we're getting more Castlevania and Witcher type stuff, that I'd be excited about. But do I really want to play Santa Clarita Diet on Xbox One? Not really.
No.
You're telling me you don't want to play the next AAA game of the
Amy
year?
Schumer stand up on PS5? Like, not interested. What properties should I be like super stoked about? I don't really get it.
Yeah,
I was trying to think about it earlier.
Yeah, because Stranger Things is a natural fit.
Sure.
That one, especially a Telltale. I don't know about this 8-bit one either, but like the Telltale one seemed like a really good fit for it, even though it's not coming out. But yeah, what's that new one
Black
that dropped?
Mirror would have an opportunity to do some stuff because that's just kind of a.
But what's that new one like? Dead to Me, or is it Dead to Me, or Dead, whatever? The one with Christina Applegate and Linda Carling, which I heard is very, very good.
Sure.
But how do you turn that into a video game?
Yeah, what are we doing? Comedians in cars getting coffee, and you're just like, it's a VR simulator. Like, what is it? Actually, sounds pretty cool. If I can like hang out with VR Jerry Seinfeld.
I'm sure there's some ideas that can come out of this that can be pretty cool. Like for instance, what you mentioned, like a Black Mirror full-on game, not what they did with Bandersnatch, which when I first played it, I thought this was unique, but the more that I had like looked back on it, it wasn't the best storytelling for me, in my opinion. I just thought it was a cool idea.
They have a VR episode too.
Do they?
Right.
Which one?
It's with
yes.
What's his name?
Yes,
Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell's son.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
That episode's freaky.
The guy from 22 Jump Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one. That was a cool episode.
Oh, that was one of the coolest. That's one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, Bandersnatch, I actually admired it more for what they pulled off from a production standpoint because it's already very hard to shoot movies, especially trying to catch any type of inconsistency and then having to do that with something like that must be like even 3 times as hard.
Yeah.
So I admired it from that point. From a standard storytelling part, I mean, the story is fine, but it wasn't my favorite Black Mirror thing, you know?
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know. I guess for me, I'm old school. Like, I like my television to be television and then my video games to be video games. I'd say Telltale kind of straddle that line between both. And I actually think it lent itself a little more towards television than it did games, you know? But, you know.
It's just hard to get excited about this until we get more details like on what their ideas are. If it is leaning more towards the things that they're already doing, where they're putting games on Netflix, like if that's what they're calling these, okay. But if they're trying to get into like real gaming with their properties, that's what I'm having a hard time piecing together, like how that would work and like what
they could,
properties.
But the problem is, at least from my point of view, is there isn't that many of their properties that would lend themselves, and also big ones. Like they do actually have a few, like let's say sci-fi stuff that they have, but none of them have achieved any type of
commercial like masterpiece success.
Like people don't really like. There was like a bunch of different like sci-fi-ish properties that they have on Netflix, but none of them have reached that Stranger Things level.
Right.
So I don't.
We'll see. It's piqued my interest for sure, and I want to see what they have planned. I think I am going to be going and attending this panel. It's going to be on Wednesday, June the 12th. So I'm interested to see what the plan is here and what originals are they planning on adapting into games. We know Stranger Things has got something, but are they maybe going to plan to put out a straight up full-on AAA Stranger Things game? You know, we obviously had that Telltale game end up getting canceled, I'm assuming, because of what happened to the studio. So will they have an even bigger Stranger Things game that will be AAA or something? Or will they do something with Black Mirror in the form of an official video game that we can get on an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4, not just an interactive episode or something? So it's piqued my interest, but I am cautiously optimistic.
Surprised isn't the right word because, look, that obviously this involves a lot of money, but I had hoped that they would have done what Skybound did with the last season of The Walking Dead. Skybound basically obtained all the assets that they already had with Telltale and hired and kept on all the people who had working on that game until the completion of that game.
Yeah.
I had hoped that they would have done the same thing, not them, but that Netflix would have done the same with Stranger Things.
Just kind of like,
I mean, yeah, maybe
like what Nintendo did with Metroid Prime 4 and like, oh no, let's give it to Retro, like to keep production moving. Like,
I hope so. That we don't. Hopefully that happened and we just don't know about it, because it's like, what a waste of potential of that game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is definitely one of those things where, like, we know Netflix is already facing challenges later this year versus Disney Plus.
Yeah.
You know, Netflix is still number one, but they're going to have a big rival with Disney Plus.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're in control of Hulu now, too.
Yes.
So it's like,
yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And Hulu adds a lot.
This is owning the world next.
I know.
So,
hey, my channel just got bought out by Disney, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know where Mickey Mouse ears on this podcast every week.
So it's going to be interesting to see how Netflix, goes from here, because one, they got to keep because they're losing all the Marvel movies. They already canceled all the Marvel TV shows.
Yep.
Which ended up being a mixed bag of some really good stuff and then some okay stuff, and then just I think just too much in general at once. I think people are starting to, even when you hear that something's good, like it takes a little while to get, because there's so much in the back catalog.
Yeah. I mean, it gets overwhelming.
Yeah, you kind of end up going, okay, you put two things in two categories. One that I have to watch right now. For me, that's like a Game of Thrones. Even like Netflix with Glow. That's like, for me, I have to watch that when it comes out.
Glow, Stranger Things. Those are my two. I will binge those the night they come out.
Yeah, and then like Amazon Prime, it's Marvelous Miss Maisel, and you know what I mean. Like there's like those certain ones in everyone has different ones, of course. But then you have other things. It's like, okay, that's goes in the pile of once I have time, I'm going to watch that.
And then by the time you have time, there's 3 seasons of other shows that tie in. You're like, oh, great.
Yeah. So.
And then I just end up watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine again.
Exactly. Turn on The Office. You hear that, Dorian?
Yeah.
Oh, he's not here. He's not here.
What, Dorian?
The Office is better than Parks and Rec?
Yeah.
That's a hot take, Dorian.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what happens when you're not here, Dorian. Yeah. We can all praise The Office and talk about how much better it is than Parks and Rec.
All right. So let's move on. Ubisoft. They have 3 mystery AAA games coming out by next March. So this does not include the Ghost Recon game that's coming that we talked about last week. This is not including that.
So 4 including that.
So 4 including that. It's interesting. So it's definitely not going to be Assassin's Creed. Because they said they're going to skip this year.
Take a year off. Smart.
Ghost Recon that we already know is coming out. They said no Skull and Bones.
Yep.
We just had a Division game, Division 2.
So it's not going to be that.
We just had Far Cry come out.
Yep.
So Splinter Cell is a possibility.
If one of these games is not Splinter Cell, what the hell is going on?
Well, what's funny is the creative director of Division 2 said he's working on the next Splinter Cell, and then like a PR rep from Ubisoft was like, no, he's just joking. That was not a joke tweet.
Come on, man, E3's 3 weeks away. You couldn't have shut your mouth. He was joking. He was joking.
Yeah. No, definitely.
That's coming.
That definitely is. That's a game I'm looking forward to.
It's been a minute.
So let's say that's one of them. You get the other 2. What's the other 2?
Who knows? I mean, you did mention that we're not getting an Assassin's Creed this year.
Yeah.
Right. So, but these are all mentioned to be coming out for March 2020.
I still don't think they're going to release another.
I don't think so either, honestly. So when we say that, honestly, I have no clue. I'm thinking maybe they got some original IPs coming.
Maybe one. I could see one being original IP. I can't see them doing like more than one.
Yeah, kind of looking at the things they've talked about in past years and like recent E3s, like Beyond Good and Evil 2. Is that going to be out before March 2020? I don't think so.
It's a TBA.
Yeah,
it's much like Last of Us Part 2 and Cyberpunk 2077.
seen some people hoping that it might be another crossover with Nintendo, how they did Mario and the Rabbids Kingdom Battle, like something like that again. That'd be pretty cool, I guess.
Watch Dogs 3,
that's
maybe.
the big one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's what it is. That's what I'm. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of that. Probably going to be Watch Dogs 3, Splinter Cell, and then I can't really guess
bonus.
what the
bonus third.
I don't think they do another Rainbow Six, right? Just because, like, coming off of Ghost Recon, like, let's be honest.
And Siege is still doing really well for them.
Yeah.
Like, they got a good community playing on Siege, so I think they're going to let that ride out for maybe a year or two more.
Yeah. I mean, those aren't the exact same games, but they are similar enough where you don't want them to come out so close together.
Yeah. Don't want to cannibalize with that. Yeah, no, it's probably going to be Watch Dogs 3 and Splinter Cell for sure, and then we'll see what that third
bonus and whatever it is. I'm excited. Ubisoft is on fire.
Yes.
So whatever it is, I have the utmost faith in them right now.
I'm just glad they went to that every other year model for Assassin's Creed.
Sure, yeah.
Once a year was too much.
Yeah, they're focusing. They're focusing on the right things.
They got good work ethic there right now, it seems, and they're pumping out some really great games. Rainbow Six has been huge for them. You know, they got the Division 2, which, I
think the reports for the sales were that it's doing on par with the first Division, but they had actually expected it to do more. I think the one silver lining for them is that their PC sales for the game were 40% higher, and they didn't sell on Steam.
They sold on Epic Games,
and
they just launched the 8-player raid, which sounds awesome. I want to see some like gameplay and look into what's going on with that. But
and a lot
they've been doing really well for themselves.
A lot of the Ubisoft diehards are still only halfway through Assassin's Creed because it's 700-hour game, so they'll get to Division 2 when they're done.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a hardcore Ubisoft fan, but I am like halfway through Assassin's because Red Dead literally came out like 2 weeks after, and then I was like, "There's 70 hours of my life." Yeah, there you go. So two big games came out. Oh, not big. Two decently sized games came out this week. Rage 2 and A Plague's Tale: Innocence. Caboose, you reviewed both of them. One thing of note, Rage 2 was on sale for like $50. I don't think it was everywhere, but I think it might have been like just at Walmart or something like that.
Yeah,
something like that. I forgot where, but it was like one place was selling it for $50. A Plague's Tale is, I think, $50, but you can find it for like $42 on Amazon. Like it's one of those MSRP 50, but it's $42, which I think makes the game a little more worth it. I mean, Caboose, you played both, and you had pretty positive things to say. Not like their best games of the year, but you had pretty positive things to talk about both of them.
Yeah. So Rage 2. I may have been a little harsh on. I gave it a 6.5.
Okay. People get upset at you.
What's that?
Did people get upset at you?
A couple did. I mean, the thing about Rage 2 is like the gameplay is stellar. It is so much fun to play, and I knew that was going to be the case from the moment that me and Dorian got to play that really early build a couple of months back. But it's just that the world itself, and which is what's supposed to be kind of the big sell of Rage 2 beyond the gameplay, is there's this huge open world to explore, but the contents within the open world just it didn't grasp me. It didn't have me invested like I need to redo these activities over and over again, because one of my complaints was the game gets repetitive, right? But there are games out there that are also repetitive, but the things that you were doing over and over again can feel fun consistently. When I play Destiny and I'm running through a raid, every time when I'm with whatever, it's a brand new team that I'm running through that raid with, or the consistent team that I always run the raid with, there's always some new variable that gets introduced in that somebody screws up. So we got to pick up the pace with just 5 players rather than the full team of 6 or something. Like, it feels unique so that every time that weekly reset comes on Tuesday, I'm ready to jump back in and play through that Destiny raid once again. But with Rage 2, it just doesn't feel like there was enough here for me to be like, even though this is the same thing over and over again, I'm still genuinely enjoying myself. I got bored after a little while, after the amount of hours that I put into it, and that is an unfortunate thing, but it's still super fun to play. The gameplay is still so good. So in that aspect, I can recommend it, but, go in not expecting the best story and not the most fleshed out open world.
What's the multiplayer situation like on Rage 2?
Is there any?
I don't know. There isn't any, because the first game, they had multiplayer, but if I remember correctly, it was vehicles only, which was weird because it was known for, FPS.
You're right.
There's vehicles in the game, but for some reason the multiplayer only consisted of the vehicle combat.
Yeah, so as far as I know, it's a single player game. There's no co-op or multiplayer in Rage 2.
Ooh, so weird.
And honestly, maybe this game could have really benefited from having a co-op or a multiplayer mode in some way, because it's a great FPS. Like, it's a great shooter and it feels amazing. So maybe there could be something here. Maybe that's something that they potentially have planned for the future. But then transitioning to A Plague Tale, this caught me by surprise. First of all, when you had mentioned to me, you're like, hey, do you want to try out this game? I was like, what? I had no idea what it was. I'd never heard of the game. But after I looked into it, it really intrigued me. The whole premise of it is you are literally back in the 1300s in the plague. Like, there is the plague, and there's these rats with these glowing red eyes, and it's kind of terrifying. And what the game really excels at is what it's meant to excel at, and that is that it's kind of this survival horror, stealth-based game. Each mission is really structured around exactly that, and you got a bunch of things in your inventory that you got to utilize to get through these missions, and it works really well in that aspect. There are moments in the game where you're going to be genuinely scared, or you're going to be really confident because you know how the mechanics of the game work, and that is something I cannot praise about it enough. But I just don't think there's enough here. Even at its kind of discounted price, I still think it's a little too much for the amount of time that you
$40 or whatever.
Right. You're still not going to be sinking too many hours into the game, and after you're done, there's nothing to really go back for, in my personal opinion. So I don't know if it's worth the full price. If you see a sale, I would recommend picking it up immediately, because it's a nice little gem of a game that kind of came out of nowhere. Graphics aren't the best. Facial animations are a little rough, but the voice acting is totally fine. And overall, good game. Solid. Just nothing amazing, nothing terrible.
Yeah. I'm looking at this. The original Rage had 2 multiplayer modes, but one was called Road Rage, and it was 4 players completing a free-for-all match with the use of vehicles in an arena and collecting rally points. The second one was basically doing the co-op missions together, but it was like, if I remember correctly, it was only like bits and pieces of the story. Like, you couldn't play the whole game in co-op mode. It was like they would pick out like these like basically there's like
certain missions that
there's like stories that would like you heard about in the main game, and then you're doing a 2-player co-op based on that. But it was just I remember playing it. It was weird just because of Rage's lineage, in terms of the developers and whatnot. You would think it'd be like a very, with id developing it, like it would be like, okay, this is gonna be all multiplayer, kill, whatever. But no. I in your review, you talked about how Rage 2 was like felt kind of empty, because I kind of had that with the first game, where like it was a very big world, but then not a lot was actually happening in that world.
And even what is happening, because there will be a lot of times where you're driving and there's like a bunch of vehicles that roll in, and you have a Mad Max vehicle battle, and the first couple of times, oh my goodness, I can't even tell you, the experience is so much fun. You straight up feel like you were living in the Mad Max world, even more so than what the Mad Max game made me feel. So when that happened, I was like, this is incredible. But after it happens over and over again, you kind of get sick of it, and you're like, okay, I'm just going to let these guys drive past me so I can get to my mission without having to worry about a bunch of people shooting at me. So that's the unfortunate thing about it.
Yeah, Plague's Tale, that was a game that I'd seen the trailer at E3 last year, and I got very interested. I like games that they have like a particular atmosphere, a mood to them that you could really tell, like, story is very important and whatnot. I mean, I didn't know how the gameplay would be, but it seems like it's pretty cool, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's a fun game. It definitely it'll have you on the edge of your seat sometimes. Very innovative, kind of different, unique style of gameplay. So I would recommend it. I just don't know if it's necessarily worth the full price, you know, because when you're done with the game, it's just going to collect dust after that. So maybe if you have places where you can rent games, maybe that'll be worth the rental. But I don't know if it's worth purchase unless you see a sale.
I mean, is the story good enough? Like, so like Alan Wake is similar, where it's a game that I think probably can be beaten in 15 hours, I'd say. But I love the story so much. I was glad that I bought it. I've played it. Yeah, I put it on a harder setting and played it again. You know, and tried to pick up. I guess they had a lot of like items that you can pick up. You know that you don't go
collectibles.
That stuff. So.
I mean, I guess there is a bit of replayability there if that's kind of the gamer that you are. It's just for me, I didn't feel right.
I just happen to like that game a lot.
But even then, like the whole gameplay of Alan Wake was really intriguing and really had you into the game, you know, because of the way that the mechanics work. I don't know if A Plague Tale has that for me, but that's just me. You know, it's just my opinion. It might reach someone and impact them way more than it did for me. So in my personal opinion, I don't know if the game has that, but it's solid. It's a fine game. Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, let's move on to, this is something actually I saw from your Twitter feed, Caboose, about Microsoft and Sony announcing a partnership for gaming and cloud services. Very interesting stuff. It's this one, like the Netflix one, it's like, you may not think it's big news now, but down the line, who knows? I think this one is probably even bigger than the Netflix one, because here you have two rivals coming together to utilize, you know, game, like something that is probably the future of gaming. Maybe not. It's not going to be in the next generation and whatever, but eventually we're going to have this kind of cloud gaming happening
as the default.
And it looks like Microsoft and Sony are like, look, let's team up together versus Google taking the whole pie, and then Apple's getting their foot in the door with their games, their cloud gaming. Amazon is planning on doing it as well. So they're like, look, we right now these two are the dominant ones in console gaming. So they're like, let's not get left behind. So what do you guys think about this?
This is kind of a thing where, you know, it's all kind of the back end stuff right now. Like Sony going to use Microsoft Azure for their cloud gaming stuff and kind of sharing those assets. So in what we know about this story now, it's not like there's like anything super exciting about as a gamer.
Right.
But it's the idea of them starting to kind of bridge this gap between them, which, you know, we've seen for a while, like when it comes to like cross-play and stuff like that, how Sony not really playing well with others, and maybe this is starting to kind of bridge that gap a little bit and kind of give us the dream of synergy that we've all wanted, right? You know, the rumors of Microsoft and Nintendo building a partnership, this felt like this came out way out of left field.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, if Microsoft is bridging the gap with Sony and potentially partnering up with Nintendo, are we just going to get this like super house of, you know, gaming? They're like, no, Google, Apple, Amazon, they're not taking our territory, and they all kind of band together. That's an awesome thought. And
that's
see
amazing.
What could happen in the future with this. Again, the news that we have on this story, it's an interesting story, but it's nothing super stellar yet. But it just opens these possibilities and fantasies in your mind of like what could be.
Yeah. No, agreed.
Caboose, what's your take?
This is amazing. It's really cool to see them working together. It blew my mind to see Microsoft tweeting at Sony and to see Sony tweeting at Microsoft. Like, that is crazy. This is stuff that's like once in a lifetime experiences. And, just like Tony was saying, obviously when it comes to the impact specifically on gaming, it's something that probably will come a little later down the road. But it's really exciting. It's really awesome to see that we have a partnership like this, because who knows what it could lead to? Who knows if 10 years from now, there's no console war. Every game is on every platform. We're going to see Halo on the PlayStation, God of War on the Xbox, Spider-Man on the Xbox, some crazy stuff like that. And I hope that's what we get to, because I think that is amazing to have that, the idea that we're all gamers. Doesn't matter which console we have, doesn't matter which console we own. We are all gamers and we love video games, and we should be able to share that experience no matter what. Forget the exclusives, get all that stuff out of the way. Let's all enjoy every single game.
Yeah, I don't know about them getting rid of the exclusives, but I do think that cross-play is something that's going to be much more prevalent. I mean, basically, Sony is going to be using Microsoft Azure for this as their own game and content streaming services. So they're still going to have their own service. It's just going to be within the realm of Microsoft's cloud computing.
Yeah.
And then they're going to kind of work on how these cloud solutions are going to be. So they probably will share a lot of tools, similar tools and features and whatnot. And maybe it's just purely where maybe the systems themselves are going to be so indistinguishable, and the only difference is
the exclusives.
Is the exclusive.
Which I think is important too, because you think of it in any competition is important, in a lot of different things. If there's any wrestling fans, like wrestling in the 90s was insane because there was these two big companies duking it out, and then when one fell, the game changed, right? Because there's no competition towards that one company. So them still being able to battle it out in some fashion is great, but being able to work together on these other fronts like crossplay, and I can imagine Microsoft being mainly focused here in the States, with Sony being, in Japan, headquartered or whatever, sharing data centers and stuff like that with each other, all that kind of stuff, just to help each other grow, especially when this gaming boom is potentially on the horizon when it comes to cloud gaming. And being able to share those tools, like you said, to help each other out, but still focusing on the games that they need. Because that's end of the day, too, when you think of Google stepping into the field and Apple and Amazon, what's going to set them apart? When we're talking cloud gaming, right now, I have to give the edge to Microsoft if I had to make a prediction on who's going to, take the cake on it, just because they've been in the gaming industry they've been building it up. And now everyone else trying to step in, it might take them a little bit to get there, but these big kingpins teaming up, it's good news.
Great.
It's only going to be good news.
Yeah, I think it goes along with the episode we did a few weeks ago about the whole PS5 specs versus whatever potentially the next Xbox specs were, and how it really didn't matter. And I think with cloud gaming, that's the thing too. It's it's not going to matter what kind of spec, because one, you're not going to have a console. Everything's going to be done in the cloud, and so and they'll be comparable, right? I don't see one service, Sony or Xbox, having that far superior of a cloud gaming performance, right? So I think this is their thing where look, let's just have pretty much the same specs, the same type of service, just with different games or whatever. So
And I think Microsoft's taking the lead on that, because I feel, especially with these rumors, again, this is a different story, but the rumors with Nintendo on the technology side is always kind of a step behind. Yeah. But their IPs are incredible, and it's who wouldn't love to see Microsoft help Nintendo with the technology side and get that stuff up, but then crossing over with the IPs and getting Game Pass on Nintendo or whatever, and kind of just, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. That's just good for everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially us, the gamers.
Exactly.
All right. Here's a video game adjacent news. Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
Yeah.
They finally announced this project. This is something that's been in the works. I mean, obviously, we've had the original movie, which I love as a cheesy, was that like a mid-90s movie? Yeah. They had the sequel that wasn't very good. But they finally, James Wan had, I think, signed on in 2015 as a producer, and they're finally going to enter production this year.
Yes.
In Australia.
So excited.
And they're putting a lot of money into it. And this director, he's a commercial director. I thought they were going to, there had been rumors that possibly Kevin Tancherone, I can't pronounce his last name.
Oh, no. He did the Machinima series.
Yes, he did the
oh, right.
Yes. That he possibly could do it. But yeah, it's this commercial director from, his name's Simon McQuaid, and he's going to be directing it. This is his first feature film. I think the only person that they think is cast is Joel Edgerton from Warrior, from The Great Gatsby. He was Uncle Owen in Star Wars episode 2 and 3.
Is he set to play, I don't know if it was Kano or if he was set to play the brand new character for the movie.
It says an Australian ex-Special Forces mercenary.
Cole Turner or something, right?
Yeah. Who retains a goofy attitude despite arms dealing and drug running charges.
Yeah. So this is the one thing that I'm a little about, because I'm a massive Mortal Kombat fan, and I'm just excited about the idea that a Mortal Kombat movie is finally off the ground, ready to go, right? But there are so many cool characters in Mortal Kombat. Why do we need the story of this movie to be about some brand new character? Maybe it's because they want to release like a cool DLC in the game or something.
Oh, no.
I don't know, but it just sounds like your average, ordinary dude and nothing special about him in the world, which maybe is the point. But, man, how do you not make Liu Kang the focal point of the Mortal Kombat movie? How do you not make maybe even do something about like Scorpion and Sub-Zero, or like Raiden be the main character with him, gathering the team or something? I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, we haven't. Nobody here has read the script. We don't know. We don't know what this movie is about.
It's got to be rated R, right? I mean, the first one was first one was PG-13,
which was it actually?
I think so.
Oh wow.
Yeah, let me look that up. But I'm pretty
because all they did was martial arts. They didn't. Yeah. There was no spines being ripped out. There was one pseudo fireball. Which
didn't Sub-Zero have a pretty brutal fatality? He chopped some dude's head off, but I guess it was frozen.
It was all frozen, yeah, so it wasn't even.
Yeah. Let me see. Maybe it was rated R.
This one has to be rated R. That'd be like saying, hey, the next Mortal Kombat game is going to be rated T for teen,
Yeah. Oh, man. That just kind of, I got real bummed out just now. I did not know.
I really killed your hopes for the movie, huh?
Because you have a series that's so rich with, like you said, that's what Mortal Kombat is about. That's what makes it awesome. Is these awesome characters, and it's rich in story from 11 games. There's so much story there. We don't got to reinvent the wheel here.
The only way I'd be a little more on board is if there was a lot of consulting with NetherRealm or Ed Boon, and there was a collaboration there, because then I would be a little more at ease in that. This wasn't just Hollywood being like, nah, no Liu Kang or anything. Like, forget that. We need Cole Turner, the face of Mortal Kombat now. Like if there was some sort of collaboration between NetherRealm Studios and like Ed Boon and people working together with the people making this film to create this new character, then I would be a little more on board with the idea that like, okay, because even in MK11, there's brand new characters that were created specifically for this game, and that's fine. I just don't like the idea, because I'm assuming there wasn't that collaboration, that the folks over at Hollywood were just like, no, we need to create a new character to be the audience of this movie. I don't like that.
Yeah,
we'll see though.
Yeah, the first one was PG-13. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I just don't remember. There was a lot of fighting, but I don't remember any type of.
No, nothing. Sonya Blade snaps the dude's neck with her legs. Yeah, but usually, even that's just like, all right.
Yeah, usually it's like what you actually see in terms of like blood or guts and whatnot. What color those blood and guts are? Because if you turn them black, it's like you can get away with a lot versus you turn them red.
Yeah.
It's like
so based on the rumors, the film's central protagonist is Cole Turner. He's a single father and a former boxer, and Jax is the one who recruits him into the Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
There's gonna be apparently in the movie there's gonna be Sonya Blade, Kano, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Raiden is gonna be coming back.
There better be.
Okay. So one of the Twitter questions, because we're moving on to Twitter questions next, is related to this, and at Christo CWC asks, what classic and newer characters do you hope to see in the Mortal Kombat reboot movies? I mean, Sub-Zero and Scorpion and Raiden are absolutely must. Sonya.
Liu Kang for sure has to be in there. Yeah. He's the chosen
What about the
one.
newer characters that maybe some people like myself who aren't like diehard Mortal Kombat fans would be in this movie or would be a good fit into this movie?
I would love to see characters, like obviously they're not newer, but characters that are maybe not as familiar with most people who know and recognize Mortal Kombat. Characters like Ermac, I think would be really cool to see them show up. I love the ninjas. So like if you get Noob Saibot in there, I'd be really happy. To a brief explanation, Noob Saibot is the original Sub-Zero. His name is Bihan. He gets killed by Scorpion because Scorpion was under the impression that Bihan had killed his family and clan. And then he gets resurrected. Yeah, Quan Chi is the guy who's Quan Chi is another one who I would love to see.
Right.
That would be awesome. In fact, just set up that whole storyline for me,
Let's
please.
just do that.
Just have Quan Chi in the movie, pulling the strings. Scorpion's that evil demon version of himself already, and he's got Quan Chi manipulating him to kill Bihan, and that sets up for the Scorpion Sub-Zero spin-off movie where they go at it. Listen, Hollywood, if you want to pick me up, I can write you the perfect Mortal Kombat franchise, the Mortal Kombat cinematic universe.
Yeah.
I got you, all right? I have so many ideas. But, I mean, like, you need all the classics for sure.
Right.
But I would just love to see a lot of the different ninjas because that's the coolest part of Mortal Kombat for me is the different ninjas and their abilities.
I guess I'm just bummed out because we haven't really had like a majorly successful Mortal Kombat movie television series thing. So it'd be different if it was like the first Mortal Kombat was like so killer. They're like, well, let's not just reboot that. Let's do something new. That'd be one thing. But it's not like we've had anything stellar. So we still haven't done it right. So do it right before we branch out. Anyways.
I'd also be happy, though, if they kind of just glossed over the tournament and maybe jumped more into the lore of just the Mortal Kombat stories that are out there. Maybe just start the movie with a monologue of, hey, there was this tournament and all these characters were involved. Because then we have to reintroduce all the characters. They all have to meet each other for the first time again. That's a lot of movie to be packed in before we get to the,
and this thing
might
be kick-ass, and we're just being really hard on it, just because we're Mortal Kombat fans. We have big hopes. I would love to see Smoke in this somehow.
Yes.
He was always my favorite character because he's like he is a ninja too, and he's like it's like Sub-Zero and Scorpion, but he's just kind of mysterious and like what's his deal? Let's see that.
How many characters does Mortal Kombat have? I mean, in terms of like
throughout the entire thing.
Yeah.
I think the total number is like upwards of like 90 to 100 in that realm now, which is crazy because I think the first game started with 6.
Yeah,
but
it's
really cool.
Yeah. How many are like staples? Like every game they have in them.
So just off the top of my head, Sub-Zero, Scorpion for sure. No matter what, they got to be in every game. Then you got like Raiden, Liu Kang,
Sonya.
Kung Lao, Sonya Blade, Jax is usually in there. Johnny Cage is usually in there. That's kind of, and then when it comes to like the villain side of things, that is a bit of a variable because Shao Kahn is an iconic Mortal Kombat villain. Shang Tsung is an iconic Mortal Kombat villain. So that kind of it's a little flip flop in there. But then you got the female characters like Katana, always got to be showing up. She's a very big staple of the franchise. Melina, her twin sister, is a big staple of the franchise. There's a lot of characters that I'm sure the casual Mortal Kombat fan would recognize when looking at them. So hopefully they include all of those, staples of the franchise.
I'm playing a YouTube video and I got a commercial. Here we go. But we need this.
Okay, I was like,
Here we go.
Yes.
There we go.
That's what we need.
This has to, like, the movie can't be good if it doesn't have this song in there.
100%.
There we go.
100%.
Yeah. I think this
Even
movie.
if they do like a Michael Bay sort of reference to it, where it's like someone playing it on a radio or something.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Like this is like half
Put
of the
that
reason
song in
why.
the movie.
This is half the reason why the movie is good.
Yeah.
The first one.
And then that for the rest of my childhood, anytime I went laser tag or anything, and they're playing that in there, I'm like, yeah, like it gets me so hyped up.
get
Oh my
pumped
god,
up.
they
Yeah.
did that for you?
Oh,
I
of
would
course.
be the craziest,
And they're
most
like,
amazing.
and they're like,
experience
hey,
of my
no
life.
running, no running. Like, well, don't play the Mortal Kombat theme. It's gonna make me run.
Exactly. Why pump me up
Exactly.
and then tell me not to do anything?
Yeah, what are you thinking?
You're lucky I'm not chopping people's heads off. After
Yeah,
you
you're
play
gonna
this.
get a roundhouse
Drop
kick
the
coming at you.
laser pointer and just start doing kung fu. Like,
Yeah.
that is
Start
amazing.
punching people in the gonads.
Yeah.
Better watch
Yeah.
out, man. Put my shades on.
Let's see here. Okay, at Mario PR05 on this movie tip, he also asked, best chance to be greenlit for a movie first, Call of Duty Modern Warfare or Ghost Recon?
Call of Duty.
We already have. They already have like 2 in the works, right? Like they've already have one and a sequel, like in the works.
But in a world where that wasn't the case, it would be
Still Call of Duty.
It's Call of Duty purely because of the name.
Sure.
Doesn't even matter like the quality
Right,
of
right.
the whatever you would
Because
think.
the Call of Duty movie can be anything.
Well, that's exactly. So what we're talking about with Mortal Kombat, how they're just putting in a new antagonist. You can do that with Call of Duty. You can just make a movie and call it Call of Duty, and people will be like, yeah. You know, if there's
Call of Duty,
war.
yeah. I mean, does
in like Modern Warfare and Black Ops, there are some really cool stories told there. So if they really wanted to pull from that source material, they definitely can and make it work for a movie.
Yeah.
But I assume like with a Call of Duty movie, if it's centered around a war and there's people shooting guns.
Yeah, it's
Call it
pretty
Call of
easy.
Duty.
Yeah, you're buying that, so you're making that movie purely on the name alone, right? You're like, okay, I can make up any story and then just stick Call of Duty on there.
Exactly. Yep.
So Ghost Recon, I mean,
That'd
it
be cool,
does.
though.
Ghost
Ghost
Recon
Recon would be cool.
It has that Tom Clancy connection, you know, and obviously he's had a lot of movies made. But Ghost Recon outside of the gaming world isn't as well known. I think Rainbow Six is a bigger, well-known title.
was a book first,
Ubisoft has already got some movies in the work. They got that Division movie with Jake Gyllenhaal.
That's right.
And
Jessica
they got that
Chastain's in
long rumored Splinter Cell movie with Tom Hardy. So they got some games in the work. I wouldn't be surprised if inevitably we see a Ghost Recon movie.
Yeah. Especially if those do well.
And I think they did like a really low budget one like 8 years ago too of a Ghost Recon.
Oh,
movie.
really?
Did they
Like a directed DVD type
Oh, really?
thing.
I thought it was like a web series.
Oh, it might have been that.
I remember they did a very high production, like web
Like a
series.
web series?
Yeah,
But Call of Duty, you can just slap that on any film.
Yeah.
Slap it on the Hurt Locker, and people would be like, "Oh yeah,
There you go.
this is a Call of Duty movie." Like they would, you know.
All right. At Miles P. Ellis asked, do you think the PlayStation Xbox partnership is out of fear of Google's Stadia?
Whoa, that's a hot take right there, huh?
And it said, look, it's hashtag Cloud Games, at Think Hero, at Dorian Parks and Rec. Oh, Dorian. So,
There, what do you think?
Yeah,
No.
Good
I
point,
don't think
Dorian. Okay.
So, fear,
Dorian,
maybe.
don't say anything if The Office is better than the Parks and Rec. Well, it's settled.
Wow.
Sorry.
There you go.
Clip that out. Put that,
right.
you know, put it on his tombstone. All right.
Fear, more like, I don't know if fear's the right word. More like, okay,
Let's put these people in their place.
let's team up and use what we both have to our advantage. We got the experience in the gaming world. They do not.
Yeah.
We have, Microsoft obviously is very skilled in the cloud computing. Sony has a lot in the electronics area. So putting those two together.
I think of it like this. Every 4 years we get the Olympics and the men's basketball team will win gold, right? We get LeBron James and Kobe Bryant throwing alley-oops to each other. But then when the NBA season starts, they're going head-to-head again. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they're not afraid of Lithuania in the Olympics because they're teaming up. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it's fear. I think they're gonna team up,
more like
take care of business, but it's just to help themselves.
And maybe to get that, maybe to figure, hey, you're gonna make it, I'm gonna make it, but if we really want to get this other competitor out, let's just team up and boot this guy out.
Yeah.
so they won't take
I
our
don't
share.
think it has anything to do with fear by any means. Because listen, not to knock Stadia, but how many people are talking about it today? You know, no, it's kind of it was just.
Let's see what happens at E3. I mean, are they having a presence at E3? Again, it's about the games too.
Yeah,
technology.
I don't want to knock Stadia.
Yeah,
but like it's just
it's a technology. You got to see the games, right? So, I mean, in the history of electronics and whatnot, the superior technology doesn't always win,
right?
And usually doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, you have even the case of, remember the Nintendo, the NES, the original NES was up against the Sega Master System. Sega Master System was a superior on
hardware.
Yeah, on hardware. Lost.
Yeah, big time.
Betamax was superior to VHS.
Yeah.
Lost. You know what I mean? There's
laser disc shall not be forgotten.
Yeah, there's many instances where the superior technology doesn't equate to
HD DVD.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You will be missed.
So here we go. Last question. At Blade GTR, what genre of video games are you very good at, and which do you not enjoy playing? For me, I like RPGs, driving, and fighting games, but don't enjoy sports or real-time strategy games.
Wait, real-time strategy.
So what games are you good at?
What games are we good at?
And then what games are you not good at, and that's what makes them not fun?
I like to be a little humble, but I guess I'm pretty good at fighting games. Okay. I'm pretty good at FPS games. You know, obviously with Apex, we had some great moments there. So like I'd say I'm good at those, but and I generally like to stay away from kind of those strategy games as mentioned there. I don't really like too much of the point and click. Like the only real Telltale game that really got me was Tales from the Borderlands, and I freaking love it.
Yeah.
Mainly because of how much I love Borderlands. Like The Walking Dead, although I totally acknowledge that it is a good game, just doesn't not for me, not something that I wanted to sink my teeth. Even when they had Batman, I couldn't get invested into it. Really? So that point click style stuff just I mean, and it's weird because I'm probably more invested into Batman than I am into Borderlands, but I just something about the point and click just didn't interest me too much and couldn't keep my my focus on those games. So,
I'm interested in the Batman one because in that documentary, they specifically call out Batman, especially season 2, to be like a high mark of their of their Telltale kind of
their resume.
Yeah.
Like I assume so. I mean, it's a huge IP.
Yeah. You never got into the game. Did you ever play the Game of Thrones one?
No, I never played the Game of Thrones one.
I really like that one. I mean,
and
like I said,
I know a lot of people.
It's the story. It's not like it's a good game, right? Like, none of them are like, oh man, like I literally when I play those games, like Wolf Among Us, love it.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I have one hand controller. Like doing this.
And that'd be fun to do. Like anytime I want to play that, I have a lot of friends who maybe aren't super into gaming, but it'd be fun to
they could watch.
We could all sit together on a couch and like, hey, what do you guys think? What decisions should I make?
Exactly.
And we can kind of do it together.
Yeah.
So, what about you, Tony?
All right.
What are you not good at, or what are you good at?
What I'm not good at is a lot of games.
Well, me too.
Unfortunately, I have not had the Apex success as Caboose. But things that if I am being thrown into a gauntlet and I get to choose what I can do to try to save myself, I would go with platformers.
Okay.
I've some of my greatest gaming achievements come from I beat all the original Mega Mans somehow, which was hard, but I did it. But then it's also hard to judge, am I really good at those games? Because I'm not competing against anybody. So I'm pretty good at Super Mario Odyssey, but maybe I'm not. I'm just playing by myself.
Yeah.
I love fighting games, not good at them. So that's why I don't tend to spend a lot of time. No, I get wrecked, and then I'm not having fun because I'm too competitive.
That's why I don't play FPSs online. Other than Halo.
Halo was the only one. I used to be pretty good at Halo, but only Team SWAT.
Okay.
Because then it's just
the one-shot mode.
That's all I could do. Because I'd play Slayer, and you're running, and I'm behind you. I'm like, I got you. You'd still just turn around and kill me before I could finish the job. But Team SWAT, I could get you. You know.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess I've been pretty okay at sports games growing up, but I don't get mad in every year because it's lame. It's the same thing every time, you know. So, but platformers are kind of my go-to.
Okay.
So,
yeah, my platformer skills have fallen off significantly since back in the day. I used to play them. I think Dreamcast was probably the last time I was playing like platformers.
They don't exist as much anymore.
Well, they used to be the dominant genre. Every few generations, the dominant genre will change.
Yeah. And I like that it's starting to kind of have a
point and click adventure games used to be the dominant genre back in back in the like late 80s, early 90s. That was like
Sherlock Holmes on your DOS.
All those Sierra games and whatnot, King's Quest, Police Quest, Leisure Suit Larry. So I actually really like those type of games. I can't tell if I'm good at any of those because, like you said, like you're playing by yourself. So it's like, am I good or not? Like,
can you speed run it? I guess that's the only way to know if you're good.
I enjoy playing those games the most. Kind of the action adventure RPGs. Like you have stuff like Mass Effect or these FPS RPGs like Fallout and.
There is a genre that I wasn't a fan of, but now I am. JRPGs.
Okay.
I've never been a huge I'm so overwhelmed by like Final Fantasy games and everything, right? But then Octopath Traveler I loved. And so it makes me like, I want to go back and play I started Final Fantasy 3 on my SNES Classic and now that Final Fantasy 7 and 9 and they're all on the Switch, like, I could play them again. And so I'm interested in those, but oh man, that's a tall task.
Yeah.
Those are a slow burn of a game.
And the one I suck at the most though is driving games.
Really?
I'm terrible at driving games. They're fun to play, especially if you go to arcade and you get the whole setup and whatnot. But I just suck at them so bad. So I think the one that was the best at was Sega Rally. That was fun. Not that I was any good because people would still beat me, but it was the one I was the best at. But yeah, that's the one I suck the most.
What about Mario Kart? Do you count that? How do you like Mario Kart?
I suck at that too.
Really?
I'm just not good at driving games.
I finally started to learn Mario Kart. I started to figure out
the drifting and everything. I'm pretty good.
Okay.
I'm okay.
The drifting
I can handle
key.
Myself. That's a game I do play online. Yeah.
I mean, fighting games I used to be good at, not anymore, because fighting games you got to practice, and I just don't have time to practice.
You got to hit the dojo.
Yeah, like Street Fighter 2, I was super deep into. Virtual Fighter, those games I was really into. But if you don't play them enough, then you end up just sucking.
Yeah, especially these days, they're more intricate than they used to be.
They're so advanced now. You gotta pay attention to frame data.
Yeah,
and all that stuff.
Get out
frame data.
Turn it off.
Yeah,
I can't do it.
That stuff gets really intense. So the way that a lot of the pros kind of work now is they see every little movement in the game as a single frame moving towards you, right? So one punch it could be 6 frames, right? Yeah. And it's crazy. It's crazy.
I need a physics degree to even play these games these days.
This is beyond me.
But I will give huge praise to NetherRealm Studios. They did this back in Injustice 2, and they did it again in Mortal Kombat 11, where there's this super advanced tutorial that will really they'll do like a frame data for dummies for you, pretty much. They'll explain, because I'm someone who's very even though I get a good understanding of the way the fighting games work, I'm still very casual compared to the pros. But then when I ran through that tutorial, I was like, oh my god, I kind of get it now. I understand the way this is supposed to work. So huge kudos to NetherRealm for what they've done, because not a lot of fighting games out there really want to explain this stuff for you. You either know it or you don't. But in Mortal Kombat 11 and towards the end of Injustice 2, they add these amazing tutorials that will really give you that detailed explanation about how these mechanics work.
And it's a bummer too. There's no genre of game I'd rather be good at than a fighting game.
Fighting game, yeah.
And it's the one I'm worst at. It's so I love Evo. I love watching it.
It's so fun.
I love it. I'd love to be good.
Yeah, sports games I'm not that great at either, but I have fun playing them. I mean, I'm just trying to think. Okay, stealth in games I'm not the best at.
Turn it off. Shut it down. I cannot. Everyone loved Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, just too much stealth for me is I like stealth mixed with some action, That's why I like Splinter Cell, but when it gets too stealthy, where it's here's 30 minutes of straight I'm ducking and hiding, and I gotta wait till the guard passes, and then I gotta.
Yeah.
I mean, some of those,
My
even
blood
in
pressure
Red,
just
even like
goes
Red
through the
Dead
roof.
Redemption, some of those things were like, you gotta hide here. If you get caught, you gotta start this whole level over. It's
Yeah.
like I don't want to start
Yeah,
the whole
I know.
level
Or
over.
like in
yeah,
Spider-Man,
I like
they did that
stealth
too.
where if something goes wrong, I can still just shoot my way
yeah,
out.
yeah.
You know, there's some games where it's like the stealth is the only way. Like
Yeah.
Hitman, you can't get a good star rating or whatever it might be on a mission if you get caught or if you
Yeah.
screw up one tiny little thing. So it's hard for me to get into a game like that. So maybe stealth is what I would choose.
That's what I
in
liked about
that question.
That's what I liked about Spider-Man. It's like I could start webbing people up stealthily, and
Yeah,
if I got
yeah.
busted, all right, I'm just gonna kick your face in now.
Yeah.
But you know,
Exactly.
it didn't
Yeah.
punish me too much for
Yeah, as long as
messing
you
it
have
up.
another option.
Yeah.
So
That's a good call.
Yeah, stealth is-
Ugh.
that's why it's interesting that Plague's Tale, because that's a stealth game, right? Like, for the most part.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
All
My
right.
blood pressure's too high for all that. I
Yeah,
can't.
yeah,
I
exactly. I'm playing games for fun,
I
right?
can't do it. I can't be sweating and just like, ah.
Yeah.
I don't
no
have
fun.
I don't have the time
Let's throw
or the
up.
energy to be like, all right, we're gonna do this.
Yeah, I'm gonna vomit out of
Yeah.
nerves because I'm stuck around a corner of a building and oh great.
Yeah. You know what is fun though is the end of the first Halo game. It's not stealth, but when you're in that warthog and you're
Oh,
you
yeah.
Halo 3 has it too.
yeah.
Dorian, have you
yeah.
played Halo yet?
No, he's not.
Come on, Dorian.
Dorian, still say nothing if The Office is better than Parks and Rec. Man, I mean,
Yeah.
Wow.
if there isn't more solid evidence than that.
Yeah, pretty.
Never let him forget it. Everybody tweet at him that you're happy he changed his mind.
Yeah, that he had finally admitted it.
He finally came to his senses.
God.
Yeah, but yeah. Halo 3, just the warthog just driving at the end. Just it's fun because it's like, all the explosions behind you blowing up.
Yeah.
And you're just, if you get stuck at one point, like you die.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
so good.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
blast. Especially in co-op too, because like
The
one
best.
one guy's driving
You're like,
and the other guy's
"Go!"
like, shoot it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely one of those game memories for me.
Oh man, I just had like a moment, just like reminiscing just now about that exact thing, being in my basement with my best friend.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a beautiful thing video games is.
I'll never forget too when kind of Halo 3 was on the last of its run, and I think I don't remember what it was where you could earn the recon armor by doing a certain set of objectives. I don't know if that was through the Master Chief Collection or what, but one of them was you had to do the final mission with 4 players, and all 4 players had to be on ghosts. And you can find ghosts hidden in the level, and it's so difficult to get out of the area that they're supposed to be hidden in and stay alive on that legendary difficulty. Oh man, so many memories from Halo 3. I really hope that Halo Infinite just kind of goes back to what made Halo 3 so good.
Please.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh boy.
All right, that's
Took a
it.
nostalgia trip there.
Yeah, that's it for this episode. I want to thank everyone who's been listening in or watching online. Tony, where can people find you?
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at I am Tony Revis.
All right. And Caboose?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CabooseEK and right here on Collider Games.
Yes. And then Caboose is coming down and joining us for E3.
Yeah.
Yes.
In, what is that, like less than a month away?
3 weeks?
Yeah. Jesus.
Less than a month. Yeah.
Time's flying by.
Yeah, what the
Yes.
heck? What the heck?
Flying by. All right. And you guys can find me on, I keep forgetting that today we had the 3-shot because we had 3 people in studio.
Hello. The Dorian cam.
Yeah. You guys can follow me on Twitter at ThinkHero, Instagram, Dennis.tzng. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Collider Games. Also, subscribe to the Collider Factory feed for this podcast for every week. All right. We'll see you guys later.